Hello, everybody. As you begin your studies this week, I want to ask an important question that I hope you'll think about this week and really as we journey together over the next several weeks. And that is, what does it mean to be a journalist? And most specifically, what does it mean to be a Christian journalist? Here, at Cal Baptist, we're studying from a Christian perspective. And so what does it mean to be a Christian journalist? Now, if you've started reading your book, Kovach, The Elements of Journalism, you'll see in the first chapter, I believe he says, the central purpose of journalism is to tell the truth so that people will have the information they need to be a sovereign society. I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit. That is the duty of a journalist. It is to inform the public so we can make informed decisions about where we are going as a society. Now, journalists as a whole aspire to adhere to a certain code of ethics or a code of conduct. And if you go to the Society of Professional Journalists website, you can find that code of ethics right there. There are three key things that we try to abide by. There's several on that list, but the three that I want to point out are, of course, accuracy. We want to be accurate in what we report. We want to get the facts right. We also want to tell both sides of the story, or really all sides of the story. Many stories have more than just two sides to them. And the big key is to be objective. We want to be objective in what we're reporting. Now, the problem is that every journalist, that we all come into this profession with a certain way that we view the world. We all come in with a certain set of beliefs. Now, this doesn't mean that we can't be objective or seek to be as a disinterested observer as we can possibly be. But in order to really get to that objectivity, we have to first recognize that we all have certain biases. We all come into the picture with a certain set of beliefs and certain way that we view the world, whether we're a Christian or any other kind of religion, or whether we have no religion at all. We all bring a certain set of beliefs to the picture. Now, let me just pause for a second here and say that, in this class, we're studying the craft of journalism. So one of the first principles of being a good journalist is to practice good craft. We're studying the mechanics of it, and that's important because you have to learn how to write well. For example, if you're a shoemaker, you can be a Christian and you can be a shoemaker, but the first rule is to make good shoes. It's the same principle in writing. It's the same principle in journalism. You can be a Christian and you can be a journalist, but you still want to practice your craft well. And now this brings me to the point that I want to make. What does it mean to be a Christian journalist? Many might believe that saying a Christian journalist is kind of an oxymoron. You see a lot of journalists out there who don't seem to have any belief in Christianity at all, and they seem to be kind of mutually exclusive, where the two don't really cross lines. And of course, you see in journalism, you see this tendency to report the sensational, report the devastation or the scandal or the controversy, or just kind of fanning the flames of fear and doom and gloom. And having a background I've worked in Christian media for many, many years, and I've worked in secular media, and it's the same. We fall prey to the same temptations in Christian media as the secular media does. It's the thing that gets clicks, the scandal, the controversy, the things that kind of drive those inner things inside people. We all fall prey to that tendency. Now, I have a background in biblical studies, and for the longest time I wondered, how does my background in biblical studies cross over with my profession as a journalist? The two didn't really seem to cross lines. I want to make a distinction here, because what you are, who you are as a person, and what you believe really comes into the picture when you're writing. And really, as journalists, if we're here to inform the public, we're really in a sense kind of being the teachers or the scribes of our generation. We are teachers who help other Christians understand the world and how God created it. We understand our view on the nature of humanity and the nature of God. It all comes into play when we are viewing the stories that we report. I don't believe there's any such thing as a non-Christian story or a Christian story. There may be stories that have more interest to a Christian audience, but there's really no distinction between it all. So I think that as journalists, we have to also say there's really no distinction between a Christian journalist or a non-Christian journalist. It's really who you are. and who you are and what you bring to the picture. There are three things that I want you to take away, and this is what I truly believe as a Christian and as a journalist. First of all, that is, as a Christian, I have to be humble. I have to be humble, first of all, to recognize that I don't know the whole picture. And really, as a finite human being, I can't possibly know the whole picture. So there's a humility involved when I go to report stories, or when I go to report on a situation, or in my profession, I was an editor. Anything that I do, I have to have a level of humility that recognizes that I don't know it all, and I can't possibly know it all. But as I seek the Lord, and as I seek the truth, I can know. I can know the truth. And also in that humility, there's also, I have to lay aside my ambitions and not allow my pride to get in the way of maybe perhaps what God has called me to do, or what God has called me to see as a reporter. And secondly, I believe that as Christians, this is really who you are as a person. You bring a hope into the picture. You know, one of the things that I think that we're so tired of in the media is there just seems to be no hope. How many times have you heard, just turn off Facebook or turn off the TV, because there's just so much devastation that you see. But as a Christian and as a journalist, you have the opportunity to bring that hope of your worldview, of what the Bible says about the gospel and the hope for humanity. You have the chance to bring that to bear into the situation. And finally, as you're writing and as you're bringing your stories to bear, if you're seeking to be objective, you have the chance to be honoring to the other person, to the sources that you talk to, and of course honoring to the Lord. First and foremost, everyone that we come in contact, we as believers, we as Christians believe that we're all made in the image of God. And so when we're seeking to be fair, we're actually honoring the other person. Whether we agree with them or not, we're honoring them by giving them a chance to have their say. And of course, we're honoring God by loving the other person. So as a Christian, I believe that we do bring these three things to bear, and that is humility, we bring a hope, and we bring honor to the picture, even if the situation is a difficult situation, even if it's angering or whatever it might be. We bring a hope and we bring an honor and a love to the picture that I believe as Christians we have the amazing opportunity to do as journalists. And finally, the last thing I want you to really be thinking about is no matter what you do, whether you're a journalist and you're in the media or not, everything that we do as writers, we write for the audience of one. Now, I know you have reporters, or you have your editors, you have your bosses, you have your news directors, and of course we're writing, to assignments. But at the end of the day, whatever we do it for the Lord, and we write for that audience of one. And the Lord is the one who we ultimately seek to please. So this is what I think that as a Christian, what it means to be a Christian and a journalist. Yes, we're wanting to be objective. Yes, we're wanting to tell the truth. Yes, we're wanting to be as accurate as we can be in verifying our story. But as a Christian, we bring that hope and we bring that honor to the picture. So I'm interested in what you have to say. We don't have a specific discussion board question on this, but I'm interested in what you might believe, what it means to be a Christian and a journalist. So if you have a chance this week, go to the discussion board, and this doesn't have to be real formal, but just tell me what you think it means to be a Christian and a journalist. Thanks.